Gather round, friends. Draw a little closer to the lamplight. Percy Hawthorne here, your humble archivist of the arcane. Keeper tales that flicker at the edges of understanding. Tonight we delve deep, deeper than the Marianas Trench, deeper than the oldest stellar dust. We pull a file thick with static cold sweat and the chilling scent of ozone. Case number 219. The Echo in the Void. This is a story of what waits in the silence between stars and the two souls who stumbled into its hungry gaze. Settle in. This one lingers. It began, as strange as so often does, with a return. Gabriel Sterling, my steadfast scholar of shadows, received a package. No return address, just a postmark blurred by rain. Cedar Falls, Iowa. Inside lay the polished wooden shell of a 1940 Zenith floor radio. The very same one, you might recall, that once wept whispers through the Hardings' basement. Gabriel had sealed it, wrapped in protocols thicker than lead, consigned it to a secure vault beneath the NGO's sterile halls. Its grief, its thinness had been contained. Or so we believed. Oh, how perilously wrong we were. He sensed at the moment he lifted it from the crate. That familiar, chilling resonance. Old sorrow, yes, but beneath it a new hum. A vibration that wasn't sound, but a pressure against the mind. Percy, he murmured, his voice tight, fingers tracing the cold Bakelite dials. It's awake, and it's calling, not weeping, calling out. He felt the shift, you see. His true sensing, that uncanny empathy, wasn't detecting trapped human anguish anymore. It was encountering something vast and profoundly other, a signal cast into the void, seeking resonance. A beacon, perhaps? Or a lure. Enter Milo Hart, of course, bursting into Gabriel's cluttered study like a supernova in sweatpants. Thermos clutched like a holy grail, a new, utterly baffling alien hunter t-shirt declaring, "They pro for a reason," plastered across his chest. Sterling, heard the ghost jukebox is back. Did it request my mixtape? I brought the good beans. His cosmic intuition, that peculiar internal Geiger counter for the weird, was practically screaming. He didn't just see the radio. He flinched from it, his usual goofy grin faltering. Whoa, Gaby, that thing's not just humming. It's singing. A really bad, creepy lullaby. Like fingernails on a cosmic chalkboard. Feels sticky. His photographic memory instantly cataloged every scratch, every whirl in the wood grain, comparing it unconsciously to the image burned in his mind from the Harding case. "It's changed," he whispered, uncharacteristically serious. "The pattern, it's deeper, hungrier." They set up in the NGO's high-security sensorium, a room lined with baffled materials, scanners humming like anxious insects. Gabriel, calm as glacial ice but radiating intense focus, connected leads, adjusted spectral analyzers. Milo, unusually subdued, paced, his intuition a live wire sparking against the oppressive silence. Midnight approached. The air grew thick, charged. Then, 3:17 a.m. Precisely. The radio didn't just crackle. It screamed, not a sound of metal or wire. A raw, tearing shriek of pure force erupted from the speaker grill. Lights flickered, died. Backup systems whined. The very air seemed to vibrate, turning viscous, cold. Gabriel staggered, clapping hands over his ears, his face a mass of psychic agony. "Not grief," he gasped, veins standing out on his temples. "Not human. It's awareness. Vast, cold, seeking." His truth sensing was overwhelmed, flooded with impressions of impossible scale, geometries that hurt the mind, a chilling intellect devoid of warmth or mercy. Oh, the cold of it! Milo froze, utterly still. His eyes weren't seeing the room, the panicking instruments, or Gabriel's distress. They were wide, unfocused, reflecting something else. Stars, swirling nebulae, an endless, lightless depth. Gabriel, his voice was a thread, distant, dreamlike. "It's beautiful, and so lonely." He took a step toward the radio, drawn not by fear, but by that terrible, mesmerizing intuition. It wants connection. It's showing me the bridge. Milo and O. Gabriel's roar was swallowed by the escalating scream. But it was too late. Milo's hand, seemingly moving of its own accord, reached out and touched the speaker cloth. The effect was instantaneous, catastrophic. A silent concussion wave blasted outwards. Not air, but space itself seemed to fold, to rupture. Instruments shattered. Reinforced glass webbed with cracks. Gabriel was thrown violently against the far wall. The breath knocked from him. He saw. Oh, dear listener, he saw. Milo wasn't thrown. Milo was unmade. Not torn apart, but unwoven. His form dissolved into a cascade of shimmering light particles, like a million fireflies caught in a hurricane's heart. They streamed, screaming silently, into the radio speaker, vanishing down a tunnel of impossible darkness that yawned for a single, horrifying heartbeat before snapping shut with a final, deafening crack. Silence, thick, suffocating, broken only by Gabriel's ragged gasps and the frantic sizzle of ruined electronics. The radio sat innocuous, polished with gleaming dully in the emergency lights. Milo was gone, utterly, not a trace. Not a single coffee stain left behind. Ah, the silence after the storm. The most terrible sound of all. Gabriel pushed himself up, every bone aching, his mind reeling. The truth sensing, it wasn't flooded anymore. It was empty. Where Milo's vibrant, chaotic, utterly human presence had been, there was only a chilling void, and radiating from the radio a smug, satisfied stillness. It had taken what it wanted. Gabriel Sterling, the calm archivist of anomalies, the man who faced the uncanny with logic and empathy shattered, raw, primal terror, then a fury colder than interstellar space, ignited in his eyes. His friend, his chaotic, loyal, irreplaceable brother in strangeness gone, snatched into the hungry dark. He didn't panic. He didn't scream. He studied, with trembling hands, ignoring the blood trickling from his temple. He reactivated the primary sensor array. The readings, the readings were impossible. Residual energy signatures defied known physics. Tachyons mixed with exotic particles that shouldn't exist outside a singularity. The spatial distortion, localized, but leading nowhere, or rather, to a coordinate set that flickered maddeningly, existing just outside conventional space-time. A pocket dimension, a bridge to elsewhere, and then the whispers returned. Not human sorrow. This was different, metallic, clicking, rhythmic, like insects communicating in a frozen vacuum. Gabriel's blood ran cold. He understood with a certainty that felt like ice in his veins. This wasn't random. This was a transmission, a confirmation, a receipt. Milo was collected, and the collector was listening. What does a man do when logic fails? When the vault of his knowledge offers no key, he turns to the only map he has left, the echo of his friend. Gabriel closed his eyes, forcing down the terror, the rage. He focused not on the alien signal, but on the fading psychic impression of Milo Hart, that unique, chaotic energy signature, the cosmic intuition, the boundless, ridiculous optimism, the scent of cheap coffee and stale donuts. He poured every ounce of his empathic sense, his deep attunement to the subtle flows of existence, into tracing that fading resonance. It was like trying to follow a single drop of ink in a storm-darkened ocean. Agony ripped through his mind, a psychic backlash from the alien static. He gasped, sweat beading on his forehead, but he held on. Milo, focus on Milo. And there, faint as a dying star, a thread, not in space, but through it, a resonance trail leading into the impossible coordinates, into the void. It wasn't a physical path. It was a path of meaning, of connection, woven into the fabric of reality by Milo's own unique perception. A bridge built not by technology, but by a goofy barista's ability to feel the universe's hidden frequencies. Gabriel opened his eyes, panting. He knew, to get Milo back, he had to cross that bridge. He had to step into the echo. The NGO mobilized, a flurry of control panic. Scientists argued over containment, over safety protocols that were suddenly laughably inadequate. Gabriel ignored them. He worked with terrifying, focused calm. He modified the NGO's prototype dimensional resonator, a machine designed to detect weak spots, not punch holes. He jury-rigged it, channeling the residual energy signature from the radio, amplifying it with a feedback loop keyed to Milo's faint resonance trail. He needed to tear open the same doorway, just for an instant, just long enough to step through. The risks were incalculable. Insanity, death, becoming lost forever in non-space. Worse, but the look in Gabriel's eyes. Oh, it brooked no argument. This was not a mission. This was a crusade. The moment came. Midnight again. The resonator hummed, a sound that vibrated the teeth and scraped the soul. Gabriel stood before it, clad not in armor, but in his worn corduroy jacket, a heavy backpack laden with sensors, emergency oxygen would even work there, and Milo's ridiculous half-crushed thermos, a tangible anchor to reality he was leaving. The radio sat nearby, silent now, a malevolent totem. The resonator reached critical pitch. The air before Gabriel shimmered, warped. Not a doorway, a wound, a ragged tear in the fabric of the world, revealing nothing, utter, perfect, lightless blackness. A blackness that didn't just absorb light. It devoured hope. A cold, ancient silence poured out, smelling of ozone and something metallic. Blood? Stardust? Ah, the scent of the void. Gabriel Sterling, linguistics professor, cryptologist, empathic truth seeker, took a deep breath of Earth's air, damp concrete, machine oil, the faint ghost of Milo's coffee, and stepped into the abyss. Transition. The word is laughably inadequate. It wasn't stepping. It was unspooling, a sensation of being pulled apart atom by atom. Consciousness stretched over an infinite loom. Colors that didn't exist screamed behind his eyelids. Sound that were mathematical concepts vibrated his bones. Time ceased, became syrup, became fractured glass. He felt the resonator snap shut behind him, the fragile lifeline to Earth severed. He was adrift, utterly, terrifyingly alone in an incomprehensible non-place. And then he landed, or rather, coalesced. He stood, if standing was a word, on a surface that felt both solid and insubstantial like frozen smoke. Gravity existed, but felt arbitrary, pulling in odd directions. The sky! There was no sky. Only swirling, nebulous darkness shot through with impossible, shifting geometries, lattices of light that defied perspective, pulsing veins of cold energy. The landscape was a nightmare of organic rock and crystalline structures that seemed to grow and shrink as he watched. Silence reigned, but it was a loud silence, a pressure against the eardrums, broken only by the faint, rhythmic click-hiss-click that vibrated up through the strange ground. The air was thin, frigid, carrying that same metallic tang, laced now with something else, decay, or simply alien life. His truth-sensing screamed warnings, danger, ancientness, a profound, indifferent intellect observing his intrusion. He felt like a bacterium under a microscope held by a god. He focused inward, desperately clutching the fading psychic thread of Milo. Alive. The connection was weak, frayed, pulsing with terror and confusion, but was there, somewhere in this impossible labyrinth. South? Down? The concepts felt meaningless. He followed the resonance, a compass needle trembling in a psychic storm. The journey. Ah, Percy needs a moment. The journey to the echo was a descent into a madness sculpted from pure strangeness. He navigated canyons carved by rivers of liquid shadow. He skirted forests of crystalline spines that hummed with dissonant harmonies, sending shivers of nausea through him. He witnessed things entities, shadows that flowed like oil, coalescing into fleeting, monstrous shapes before dissolving back into the gloom. They didn't attack. They observed, with a chilling, detached curiosity. Once, a vast, segmented thing like a mechanical centipede woven from starlight scuttled across a distant ridge, miles long, utterly silent. The scale was crushing. The click-hiss-click grew louder, more insistent. It wasn't ambient noise. It was communication, a language of pure information, cold and efficient. Gabriel's linguistic mind recoiled even as it tried to parse it. Concepts of location, containment, analysis, assimilation flooded his awareness, bypassing his ears, imprinting directly onto his consciousness. He understood. This was their space. He was trespassing. Milo was specimen 219 alpha, being studied. His unique neural signature, that cosmic intuition, was a prize. He found the source of the signal. Not a building, a growth, a vast, obsidian black structure, part hive, part machine, part living crystal, pulsing with internal light the color of diseased violets. It rose from the landscape like a cancerous mountain, radiating the click hiss like a heartbeat. The psychic pressure here was immense, threatening to crush his sanity. Milo's resonance screamed from within it. Weak, fading, stealth was impossible. His very presence was an alarm in this place. He approached the base of the structure. There was no door, only smooth, seamless obsidian. He placed a hand on it, bracing for the alien cold. His true sensing flared, not just sensing the material, but the intent woven into it. Containment, analysis, dissection, and beneath it, a chilling curiosity, devoid of empathy. He pushed his empathic sense outwards, not seeking understanding, but projecting. Projecting Milo, not the specimen, the friend, the barista, the terrible comedian, the loyal, chaotic, utterly human soul. He projected Milo's laughter, his ridiculous t-shirts, his fierce loyalty, his love for terrible coffee and bad sci-fi movies. He projected the image of Milo trying to teach Gabriel to juggle espresso cups. Failing spectacularly, he projected the humanity they sought to dissect. For a long, agonizing moment, nothing, only the relentless click hiss. Then a shift, a flicker in the obsidian surface, a hesitation in the psychic pressure. The cold intellect seemed perplexed, confronted not with data, but with something illogical, irrational, human. A seam appeared in the obsidian, not opening, but thinning, a patch of translucence. And through it, Gabriel saw Milo, suspended in a chamber filled with viscous, amber light, held not by bonds, but by intersecting beams of pure force. Wires, like living roots of silver, snaked into his temples, his spine. His eyes were open, unblinking, staring into infinity. His face was slack, devoid of its usual manic energy, etched with an expression of pure, uncomprehending terror. But he was alive. The faint psychic thread flared, a spark of desperate recognition. Gabriel. The sight ignited Gabriel's fury. Logic evaporated. He acted on instinct, honed by years facing the uncanny. He slammed his modified sensor array, designed to map dimensional instabilities, against a thinned obsidian seam. He overloaded it, channeling not just its power, but his own raw empathic surge. His terror for Milo, his rage at a violation, his profound love for his friend, directly into the structure. It wasn't an attack. It was a psychic scream amplified by technology. The obsidian shattered, not physically, but metaphysically. The containment field around Milo flickered, died. The silver roots retracted with a hiss. Milo dropped, boneless, towards the chamber floor. Gabriel lunged to the collapsing rift, ignoring the searing pain as alien energies lashed at him, burning through his jacket, scorching his skin. He caught Milo just before he hit the strange, yielding surface. He was cold, too cold, breathing shallowly. The click hiss became a shriek, a deafening roar of pure, outraged intellect that hammered Gabriel's mind. The entire structure convulsed. The light turned hostile, glaring crimson. Shapes detached from the walls. Drones? Sentinels? Skittering constructs of sharp angles and cold light, converging on them with terrifying speed. The bridge. He had to find the resonance trail back. He slung Milo's limp form over his shoulder, ignoring the agony in his own body, the psychic assault threatening to tear his mind apart. He ran, not through corridors, but through a space that warped and twisted around him. The drones pursued, silent, relentless, firing bolts of coherent light that seared the air near his head. He followed the fading psychic thread of his own entry point, a beacon in the swirling madness. The ground heaved. Crystalline spikes erupted around them. He dodged, stumbled, fell. Milo groaned, a weak, human sound that galvanized Gabriel. He scrambled up. Almost there, he could feel the frayed edge of his entry point, a weakness in the fabric of the void. He saw it, a shimmering instability in the swirling darkness ahead. He poured every ounce of his will, his empathic strength, into that point, using Milo's thermos, a tangible piece of earth, as a focus. Open! The resonator on his back, jury-rigged and damaged, shrieked in protest. It flared, spitting sparks. But it worked. A ragged tear, smaller this time, flickered into existence, a window showing the dim emergency lights of the NGO sensorium. Earth, hope, raw and desperate, surged. He threw himself and Milo towards it just as a bolt of crimson energy seared past his ear. He felt the tear pulling, the void resisting. He pushed Milo through the opening, felt a familiar, solid tug of Earth's gravity take him. Then, as he lunged after him, something cold and metallic clamped around his ankle. A drone, anchored in the void, pulling him back. Its grip was like ice, crushing bone. Gabriel twisted, kicking desperately, his fingers scrabbling on the smooth floor of the sensorium. He looked back, into the void, into the faceless, pulsing light of the drone, and beyond it, in the swirling chaos, he sensed a vast, cold intellect focusing fully upon him. Not anger, not even curiosity anymore. Recognition, and a promise. A silent, psychic imprint as sharp as a scalpel. You are marked. The echo remembers. With a final, agonizing heave, fueled by sheer terror, and the image of Milo's slack face, Gabriel ripped his leg free. He tumbled through the tear, landing hard on the cold concrete as it snapped shut behind him with a sound like the universe sighing. Silence. Blessed, mundane silence. The smell of ozone and burnt wiring. The hum of emergency generators. And Milo lying beside him, breathing raggedly, eyes fluttering open, filled with dazed, incomprehensible horror. Percy pauses, the sound heavy, a long, slow exhalation. A sip of water, perhaps? They were back. But were they whole? The NGO team swarmed medical personnel, scientists buzzing with frantic questions. Milo was rushed away, catatonic, whispering fragments of that terrible, clicking language. Gabriel. He bore the physical burns, the sprained ankle. But the deeper wounds. Oh, the deeper wounds. The mark. The echo's cold promise. And the knowledge, etched into his soul like frost on glass, of what waited in the endless dark. The radio was gone, vaporized in the backlash. But its purpose, its message had been delivered. We are not alone. And what is out there, it watches. It collects. It remembers. Percy's signature sign-off. The gentle final thud of a book closing. And so, the file on case number 219 snaps shut. For now. Milo Hart recovers, slowly, haunted by whispers only he can hear, fragment of a cold, clicking song. Gabriel Sterling. He walks with slight limp now, and his eyes hold shadows deeper than any archive shelf. The NGO scans the skies, the static, the silences between heartbeats. The echo spoke. It took, and it promised to speak again. Remember, friends, when the night is too quiet, when the radio crackles with empty air, listen deeper. The void hums with more than silence. It hums with patience. Carry your light, however small. Keep your friends closer. This is Percy Hawthorne, reminding you, some doors once opened can never truly be closed. Sleep well if you can. Good night.